All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we're looking at a universe where art isn't something you just hang on a wall. It's a weapon, it's a prank, and it's a whole way of life. We're about to explore a symphony of refusal, a story all about hacking the very fabric of reality.
Okay, so this moment right here. A confrontation between rigid authority and pure absurdity. This is the key that unlocks absolutely everything. See, it's not about fighting the system with fists and signs, it's about fighting it with a kind of chaotic, joyful blaze that leaves the powers that be completely and utterly bewildered. And this is where our story really begins.
So our story unfolds in this version of Berkeley and San Francisco that feels, well, it feels both familiar and kind of mythic. It's a landscape where counterculture isn't just an idea floating around. It's a living, breathing performance piece, happening all the time.
Yeah, you gotta forget about traditional protests. The revolution here is one of everyday life. Every single action, every conversation, every walk through the city is a chance to disrupt, to question, and to turn the totally mundane into something extraordinary. This is a revolution of poetry, not politics. And the players in this game, they aren't your typical heroes. They're a collective, a force moving through the city's hidden spaces, almost like ghosts. You've got Eric, the Observer, Elishba, the Catalyst, Eveline, the Prodigy, Elise, the Living Canvas, and of course, Jackalope, the agent of pure joyful anarchy. Together, they're not just characters, they're instruments in a wild, chaotic orchestra.
This quote just perfectly captures their whole philosophy. It's not an angry, defiant no. It's a playful, super intelligent refusal to participate in a reality that they didn't create. It's like Bartleby the Scrivener, but reimagined as a punk rock art movement.
So how did they pull it off? I mean, this wasn't random chaos. It was calculated. They were operating with a very specific intellectual toolkit, a set of ideas really designed to subvert and reclaim the culture all around them.
And here's the thing you gotta understand. Their actions are actually rooted in a real-world philosophical movement, situationism. The whole goal of the situationists wasn't to make art for stuffy galleries, but to turn life itself into a revolutionary project, breaking down that wall between art and everyday experience.
Their methods were kind of twofold. First, they practiced what's called détournement, which is basically hijacking culture. Think of it like remixing reality itself. Second, they used psychogeography, wandering the city not to get somewhere specific, but just to feel its hidden emotional currents. And here is a perfect example of détournement in action. Eveline, our 11-year-old poet, doesn't just read the beat classic On the Road. No, she hijacks Kerouac's entire journey, forces her family to retrace his steps on a cross-country move, and then rewrites the whole thing from her own perspective. And that was their guiding principle. They were not interested in being passive consumers of culture. They were active participants, guerrillas in a war over meaning itself, really trying to hack the source code of society.
Okay, so this is where all that theory just explodes into practice. Their art stopped being an idea and became an event, an intervention in public space that you just can't ignore and you certainly can't forget. For these artists, there was absolutely no separation. Their own bodies became the medium. In the city, its galleries, its alleys, its corporate plazas, that became their stage for a series of unforgettable, transgressive performances. Their work was, it was a catalog of chaos. From creating an anti-show with printer ink, to Elise channeling Duchamp by smashing urinals, to Jackalope's punk rock pranks, their acts were visceral and symbolic. Each one wasn't just a stunt, it was a carefully placed cultural bomb.
As one witness put it after Elise's performance, this was something more. The goal wasn't just to be seen, but to fundamentally alter the perception of everyone who witnessed it. It was a reclamation of space, of identity, and of the very definition of art.
And all this public art, it brings us to the very core of their philosophy, a powerful idea they diagnosed as the central illness of the modern world, recursion sickness.
This is the question that sits right at the heart of their worldview. What if the forward momentum we think we feel, in our careers, in our culture, in technology, is just the spinning of a wheel? What if we're all just running in place?
They called this state recursion sickness. It's the condition of being trapped in an infinite feedback loop that just masquerades as progress. They saw it everywhere, from AI algorithms that get stuck to the endless cycle of work and consumption in capitalism. And they saw a direct parallel The logic that traps an AI in a recursive failure is the same logic that traps humans in the exhausting loops of modern life, the illusion of constant motion that leads absolutely nowhere.
This performance, My White Bicycle, is the perfect metaphor for their entire philosophy. An artist pedals furiously but goes nowhere, a perfect critique of endless labor. The system eventually collapses, right? And it reveals that this myth of perpetual motion always needs some hidden human intervention to restart the loop.
So, if we're all trapped in these loops, is it hopeless? Well, not according to them, and their conclusion is the most radical and maybe the most hopeful part of their story. They realized the goal was never to win or to escape the loop. The true act of rebellion was to find meaning inside the process, to make the cycle of creation, collapse, and rebirth a conscious, artistic act.
You know, when a fire destroys their central meeting spot, they don't see it as a defeat. Not at all. They see it as just another turn of the wheel. The space is gone, sure, but the energy remains, ready to be reborn from the ashes. It's not an end, it's a transformation.
And this, right here, this is the crucial takeaway. The goal isn't to break the cycle, it's to learn its rhythm, understand its logic, to find a way to stabilize it and find a harmony within all the chaos. And so, they leave us with this final burning question. Maybe our modern lives aren't prisons to be escaped, but canvases for a new kind of art, an art of living beautifully and defiantly right in the heart of the fire.